Well, again, good morning. Thank you for being here. You know, my thought is that, you know, perhaps in a little less stressful environment, we could talk about the topic of the day in sort of an informal way. As you folks well know, Oakland is being confronted with significant financial problems, as is every other city in America, based on our global economic meltdown, our national economic meltdown, our state economic meltdown. Oakland does not exist in a vacuum, and therefore Oakland is confronted with a number of significant problems. When I presented the budget to the City Council, I indicated that our starting point was $497 million. That was our baseline. And based on our projected revenues, we anticipated $414 million, which left us with an $83 million shortfall or an $83 million deficit. That is a significant amount of money. I introduced the budget, and as you well know, since that time, the state has spiraled into even greater difficulty. The implications for that are still to be known by us, but we've looked at figures ranging anywhere from a $6 million to an $11 million impact upon us. I indicated that if we were trying to budget for $414 million, if you left the police department, the fire department whole, and that is made no cuts, and continued to service our debt, that the general purpose fund, we ended up with only $103 million for the rest of government. Now, it's clear to me that, and it was clear to me then, that you could not take $83 million from $103 million and run the rest of government. That's just unacceptable and non-implementable. So we then clearly had to look at a range in the budget. Just for a moment, I'd like to indicate that since we introduced the budget with even continued issues with respect to our financial circumstances, in the mayor's office, we further refined the budget in 3 ways. One, we're prepared to accept, along with other agencies, a 20% reduction in our staff. We think that everyone needs to come to the table and make as great a contribution in this difficult moment as we can, so we're prepared to do that. Number 2, I have said this on more than one occasion, and I reiterate this morning. You're aware of this program called PAYGO, where each member of the council and the mayor receives approximately $250 million, $250,000, sorry about that. Armed Services Committee stuff. Be billion. 250,000 divided as follows: $125,000 from general purpose fund and $125,000 from capital improvement funds, for a total of 250. My personal view is that PAYGO is not good policy. I think that it perpetuates parochialism, and I think it lends itself to difficulties. And in this particular moment of difficulty, I am foregoing PAYGO. That's $125,000 that was originally budgeted. I might just say parenthetically that that was one particular item that got by me, because I personally would not have even wanted the $125 in the original budget. Because, as I said, I think on policy grounds, PAYGO is not good policy going forward. So we're putting that $125,000 up as well. We have $44,000 in the general fund that is a carryover balance for us in the mayor's office. We forego that as well. And the third point, while symbolic and certainly in the context of an $83 million deficit that could rise even higher, it's a small point. but I'm also accepting a 10% salary cut. So to summarize quickly, the three adjustments that we have made is the 10% salary cut, the forego of pay-go, and there I would hope that my distinguished colleagues on the City Council would follow, not only put this year's pay-go general funds on the table, but I personally think we ought to end the practice of pay-go and just move on. As I said, I don't think it's good public policy. And thirdly, as I said, clearly we're making other reductions, and I'm prepared to make a 20% reduction in our staff. There's some dispute about how you calculate the dollars, but that's something that I think we can get beyond. I would just conclude this part of my presentation by simply saying I am in no way interested in a fight. That's not what this is about. At a time of significant economic problems that we have in the city and other issues, this is a time when we need to close ranks. We need to be together, we need to be strategic, we need to be unified, and we need to be communicative and collaborative. So there is no desire on my part to engage in a fight. I think it's important for us to go forward in a unified manner. Second point that I would like to illustrate, to point out, is public safety has, from the very outset, been due north for us, the #1 priority. And I've taken a view that public safety is multi-jurisdictional and multidisciplined, and therefore we must take a multi-jurisdictional and a multidisciplined approach to public safety. Our concept of PIES, P-I-E-S, which stands for prevention, intervention, enforcement, and sustainability. And I think that that strategy has begun to work. As all of you know, a year ago, last January, I challenged the city to get to our designated number of 803 police officers because it had never been done. That was mandated in the context of Measure Y. Before the end of the year, we had reached the number of 830, I believe, 8 police officers. We're now somewhere in the area of 812 police officers. So we went out there and did all we could: aggressive recruitment, concurrent training academies, but we got there. We got beyond 803 for the very, very first time. We got all 57 problem-solving officers, 1 in each beat, plus 6 supervising sergeants for the very, very first time, all right? Secondly, our crime rate is down. If you recall, in the January State of the City, I challenged the city as a whole, the police department, all of our departments, and our community, nonprofits, community volunteers and organizations. Let's come together and at a minimum reduce our crime rate by 10%. As we speak here, we're at 15% reduction in crime rate and 23% reduction in our homicide rate.